someone took down my last video. They put a copyright claim on it, blocked it. I disputed it. I was like, hey, it's covered under fair use. And they were like, we don't care if you think it is. We're gonna block it. And so they blocked it. Anyway, I gotta fix that. I'll post it along with this one. Today, I'm gonna be talking about the Twisters movie. I went and saw that, and this was distributed by Universal and Warner Brothers, and they would never block my YouTube video. They would. But they won't. They might. Anyway, I went and watched Twisters, and for this video, I just kind of want to do a quick recap of what happened. I want to talk about the good of the movie, the bad, some things I didn't really like, and just compare it to the first movie, because I did watch Twister before watching Twisters. Alright, so let's get into it. Quick recap. We meet our character, Kate, and her group of friends. Also, side note, really weird when the main character has your first name.
Why did you say that name?
Anyway, so we meet her and her little group of researchers, scientists that are gonna go do storm chasing to research the tornadoes. And they go do that, and then as they're doing their storm chasing, it's actually a really big tornado and they didn't anticipate that, and they get stuck in it, and all of her friends, they die except for one person. We cut 5 years later. She's working just a desk job in New York. Her friend, who she hasn't seen in a while, comes over and he's like, hey, you gotta get back into storm chasing. And she's like, no. And then he convinces her and she's like, okay. So they go back to Oklahoma and they do more storm chasing, and we are introduced to our two teams here, the corporate team and then the ragtag team. And Kate is working with her friend on the corporate team, and they have this little rivalry going on. And then there's just a whole lot of storm chasing, and they go and chase storms, and Kate finishes her research and she's able to figure out how to stop tornadoes, and Tyler helps her out there and they become good buddies. And then Kate comes back home and she does more storm chasing in the end. Pretty lame recap. But that's basically what happened. It was a really good movie. I liked it. It was a ton of fun. So now I want to talk about what I really liked and really appreciated about this movie and kind of compare it to the first one. I really liked the main characters that they had. I liked Kate and I liked Tyler. I thought they were both really good characters. They were very likable. Unlike the first one, I did not really like the main characters that they had. I thought they were just really annoying and mean and childish, and I didn't like them very much. So it was really nice. In this Twisters movie, I actually really liked both of the main characters, and they did have a little rivalry going on at first, but they weren't just mean and angry towards each other like they were in the first one. One thing that I really like to see from movies is a dynamic duo with a male character and a female character in Ant-Man and the Wasp and in Edge of Tomorrow with Tom Cruise and Emily Blunt. I really like that. It's one of my favorite things to see in movies, and I really like that we got that here. Both characters were really competent and capable on their own, but then they also worked really well together. And I'm glad that they didn't go the route of making Kate just someone super amazing and awesome. But she was. But they didn't do that by tearing down the male character. There are tons of things that do that. Marvel's been really good at it lately with things like She-Hulk, Shang-Chi, Thor, other things like Barbie, Ghostbusters remake, Incredibles 2, the list goes on. There are a lot of things where I feel like they kind of dumb down the men in order to make the women seem more intelligent and amazing. And it's weird because you just don't need to do that. They can both be equally competent and capable and work really well together. So I'm really glad that they went this route with this movie. Another thing that I think Twisters did a lot better than Twister was how they handled the deaths. In both movies, characters that are really important to our main character are killed by a tornado. In the first one, it's her dad. So her dad dies in the very beginning, and it's really sad. But I feel like a lot of the emotional impact was kind of taken away due to how just weird that scene was. He dies by just trying to hold down a door, and then the tornado comes and takes him away, and he dies. And the whole time he's like, I don't know how much longer I can hold on to this door. And his wife and daughter, they both survived, and they were just in a corner trying to get as far away from the door as possible. And he had multiple chances to move away, and it sounded like he knew that the door was going to get ripped off. Yet he stayed there, and then, yeah, he died. And so the whole time, I'm just kind of thinking, why aren't you moving? Contrast that to Twisters. I feel like the deaths in the first scene of Twisters were way more emotionally impactful and felt way more serious. The deaths were impactful because they introduced us to this team, and they were very bright-eyed, youthful, naive, innocent, and just very excited to go do the storm chasing. And they said things like, I hope it's an F5, and they did get an F5, and they were oblivious to the real dangers of that F5. And so we're introduced to this team of just very fun, bright-eyed kids, and they get hit with the reality of the dangers of this, and it's too late, and they're just stuck in the middle of it, and then they die. At the beginning of this movie, I was kind of thinking it was a little bit silly, these main characters, and I was not really into how they were introducing them. But then they all died, and I realized a powerful contrast that was from this like bright-eyed, youthful excitement to getting stuck in this tornado, and that was way more emotionally impactful than the first one. Another death that occurs in the first one was the corporate guys. They die as they're chasing a tornado, and that one was also really confusing because yes, they were greedy corporate guys and they just were in it for the money.
In it for the money, not the science.
But they weren't evil and they didn't deserve to die that horrific death. When that happened, I feel like that was super undeserved and kind of took me out of the story and didn't really add much to the narrative of it. However, in Twisters, they did not kill the greedy corporate people. I thought they were. The whole time I was like, man, they're gonna kill Superman, aren't they? He's gonna get sucked into a tornado. Dang. But they didn't. And I thought that was a really good call. Because yes, they're greedy people, but do they deserve to die? No. Overall, I was way more emotionally invested in this Twisters movie and the story they were telling and the characters that they had than I was in the first one. I thought the first one was fun, but I wasn't watching it because I cared about the main characters. I didn't like them. I thought they were annoying. I wasn't really invested in their relationship. I was really just there for the storm chasing and the funny side characters. But in Twisters, I was there for the main characters. One more thing that I think they did a really good job with in this Twisters movie was the ending. Like most other people, I thought that they were going to end it with a kiss. I thought that when Tyler ran into the airport to find Kate, I thought that they were going to end it with a kiss. Then they didn't, and I was surprised. And then as I was watching it, I was like, didn't see that one coming. Do I like it? The more I thought about it, the more I liked it. I'm really glad that they ended it that way. They had filmed that scene and it got leaked on the internet and everybody was like, oh my goodness, why didn't he add this into the movie? And I watched an interview where the director was talking about this decision. The reasoning that he gave for this was because Kate's story is not about finding a new boyfriend. It is about finding her community again and coming back home and doing storm chasing. That's her whole character arc. If they had ended it with a kiss, the romance would have just trumped everything else. It would have been emphasized above everything else about this character, and it kind of would have ruined her character arc, at least for me and for the director. So I'm really glad that he kept that out. I like the ending that they had way more than a kiss. He goes in there, they hear a tornado warning, and then they both rush out to go do more storm chasing. And that was her character arc, was needing to come home, find her community, and do storm chasing again. And they didn't remove the romance entirely. They still had it there, and I thought they did a really good job with it. And I think that if they had added in a kiss, it would have just made it feel way too much Hallmarky. This is not a romance. This is an adventure, action, storm chasing movie. Ending it with a kiss would have just kind of ruined it. So those are the things that I really liked about this movie. I want to talk about a few things that I did not exactly appreciate so much. Nothing really ruined the movie for me, but there were a couple things that I was just really bugged with. The main thing was the love triangle.
But why?
I do not understand why they felt the need to put this in here. It didn't add anything to the story. It didn't make me more invested in the characters in this drama. It just kind of made me really annoyed, and I did not like his character after finding out that he had a crush on Kate. I was talking about this with my sister, and she said what they should have done was have him be married, have a little family, and give him financial incentive to want to work with the bad guys, the corporate people. If he had a little family that he needed to provide for financially, that would have made more sense for his character, for why he would want to go work with them. Instead, we get he's in love with Kate, and that's his character. That's a lame character. I didn't really appreciate his character after that. I thought, could have made him something cool. They could have just been good friends. He could have had his own little family, and his reasons would have made more sense for wanting to work with the corporate people. But they didn't go that route, and instead they just introduced this ridiculous love triangle.
It's ridiculous.
When Kate had taken down the tornado, and then Tyler and Harvey were both running out there to see if she was okay, I thought that was so ridiculous. That actually just really drove me crazy. Why did we have to see both of them running out there? Why did Kate have to wake up and look back and forth between both of them? And why were they doing this? Oh my goodness. Who is she gonna, ridiculous love triangle stuff that nobody wanted. Nobody wanted that. And it didn't add anything to the story. They should have taken it out. Another thing that they did better in the first movie than in this one was how they completed their mission and their research. In the first one, both main characters complete it together. They figure out the problem together and they survive the tornado together. In Twisters, Tyler comes on and he inspires Kate to do the research. He helps her figure out what the problem is. And then when the tornado comes, Kate goes and completes the mission all by herself, and Tyler is out of the equation here. He is elsewhere. They don't complete it together. I thought that was weird that they introduced Tyler inspiring her to do the research and helping her finish it and getting her back into, the research game. And then when it's time to actually complete the mission and complete the research and finish what they started, Kate does it by herself. I didn't like that. I thought they should have finished it together. That would have been a more complete and fulfilling story, in my opinion. It didn't ruin anything, but it was just kind of lame that they didn't go together and these characters didn't finish this out together. And then the last thing that I think the Twister movie did better than Twisters was the teams. I really liked the team in the first one and all the side characters. I thought they were all really fun. I thought that all their interactions felt more real and natural and really humorous. In Twisters, the interactions just kind of felt a little boring. We didn't get a lot of screen time with these characters to really get to know them as characters. They were barely even characters in this movie. We saw them for like a little bit. Their interactions weren't as fun, or they didn't feel as real as in Twister. I thought that they made them feel like real people in the first one, and it was a lot more fun. I think that is kind of a trade-off, though. I really liked the side characters more in the first one, but I hated the main characters. But in Twisters, I really liked the main characters, but didn't really like the side characters as much. I do appreciate liking the main characters more than the side characters. So if I had to choose between the two, I would definitely choose main characters over side characters, obviously. In conclusion, I really liked Twisters. It was just a really fun movie. That's it for now, though. Universal, do not block this video.